And that's the reason why you need your personal AI. That's the reason why it's a place to embrace, to take control of your own life and not continue the same path in this next generational shift that is happening within the AI space.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the BizDev Podcast, the podcast about developing your business. I'm David Baxter, your host. I am joined, per usual, by the ever-loving, ever all-knowing, all-seeing Gary Voigt in his little Beanie Baby hat. Hello, Gary.
What's up? Have you heard this song that I think Jimmy Fallon and Paul Rudd did it on one of the intros to the Fallon show? It's about
Nope.
wearing beanies. Okay, well, look it up online. It's pretty funny. My daughter introduced me to it, but it's like a little skit. So if anybody wants to hear that, look that up.
Wow. Thanks, man. What an intro. We are joined today by our guest, Suman Kanuganti, who is the co-founder and CEO of Personal AI. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, David, and Gary. Nice beanie.
So you run a company called Personal AI. Tell me what that is.
Personal AI, it's a model. It's a model of a individual person replicating their voice, their memory, their facts, their opinions, their perspectives. So if you would imagine talking to Alexa AI, now imagine talking to David AI.
Oh man, that's scary. I definitely don't want to talk to Gary AI. That would be even worse.
Or
Wait,
maybe
this
you're
makes
so-
me think of kind of, what does Apple have that new feature where you could record your own voice? I guess for people who might be experiencing like a loss of voice or becoming non-communicative, they could actually
Yeah,
replicate
to
their
like the
voice
clone.
personality with Siri, something like that.
Yeah, so you're referring to, likely voice cloning. Voice cloning technology exists within the space. There are a few companies who are doing the voice cloning models. We do voice cloning models as well, but more importantly, we do the idea of presenting the model within your memory. So it's digital twin of you, not just from how you sound from a voice standpoint, but how you think, if it makes sense.
How
Okay.
do you load that? I mean, that's where I'm confused. How does this bot learn who I am and what I like and don't like and how I would react to something? How does that get loaded into your
Yeah, so
model?
fundamentally, it's not a bot that is trained one time, right? We are used to training the models and using the models, like in the large language model space, is quite often referred to as pre-trained models, right? What we've been building over the past 4 years is a model that continuously learns with you over a period of time. So now there is obviously a starting point, which you are referring to, like how does it learn? The starting point is pretty much any authored content, authored conversations, authored writings that you have ever had in the digital realm from your history can go into your memory. And the idea of loading up the memory is also in your hands, meaning you may choose certain memory to not be in there. Like, for example, if somebody has a PR crisis and like, oh, I don't want that. That is not truth. That is not truth to me, right? So I would not want my AI to learn anything that is available on the internet as much as I want this AI to learn who I am authentically, that I would want my AI to be, right? So it's an extension of you, not necessarily a company is building a model of you from just random places around the internet, but very deliberate training that individual person does.
So if I've written 100 blogs, I would load it into there and it would now be able to speak in my voice as a blog writer. But that wouldn't necessarily, unless I really wanted to, it wouldn't know anything about me personally. It would just know that I am an expert at X and I write about X all the time. And so it could use my mannerisms and stuff in the way I write, but not necessarily know who I am. Is there a way to do that? Or is that not even the point? Like, I guess maybe a better question is, once I've done that, what do I use this for?
Yeah, so let's talk about the done part itself. So yes, you can do all those blogs, but you would have to set an identity. So every model in the personal AI scenario has an identity. What's an identity? Well, David is an identity, Gary is an identity. Why the identity exists? Because that person is the owner of that model. That person is the owner of that memory, and they are accountable for what goes in it and what's not. So that's like blogs, email, conversations, text messages, articles, books that you have authored, things about you, your LinkedIn bio, your favorite foods, uh, I mean, you can literally tell your AI what are your favorite things as well, and that can go in too. So it's your choice, technically, how you would want to shape it.
Okay.
Majority of the use cases that we see today are tailored towards having this AI help you in your day-to-day communications aspect of it. Well, so because you probably have 10 million channels that are bombarding you with messages every day, your emails or text messages or people asking you questions, the same thing over and over again. Now this is you. This is David's mind. So it will be able to craft the messages and the responses for you on your behalf, and you can choose to either send it or, oh, you know what? I will edit it because it is missing a point, and then I would send it. And those things also goes into reinforcement learning.
Okay.
I can see in about
So
2 weeks now, all the Slack replies are just going to be David's AI bot and not him.
Yep.
yeah, I
And
mean,
that is a real use case that happens today with our customers.
man, that sounds so scary. It's like you're disconnecting yourself. Let's assume for a moment that it's perfect and it can totally replicate my snark and my personality and my knowledge. Then you've now disconnected yourself from that. That's a weird outcome, right? Now I'm not involved in my own thing.
Oh, well, I will challenge you. I think it is exactly the opposite. It is actually expanding your connections. Because as individual people, we have only 15 to 25 meaningful connections and relationships that we can afford our time to. But you may have your team members, you may have your clients, you may have your audience, you may have your family and friends, right? They need access to you, to your mind. You may not have time to them. But if your AI indeed is able to assist you, like as a side case, like, hey, this is what I wrote to you. Would you like to send this reply to your mom? Absolutely, yeah. That's a nice note. That's what I would say. So it's less about replacing, it's actually strengthening the connections that you may have. Otherwise, you will not have time to fulfill those, right?
Okay. So what is I mean, obviously this is a company. I get that, hey, this thing could write to my mom. Okay. That makes sense. But how would I use this? How do you guys do this as a business? What is the product that you're selling?
So, David, like today's most of our customers are business owners, right? Specifically, the business owners who has domain expertise in specific types of fields or subjects or topics, right? You can think of them as licensed professionals, certified professionals, or advisors, or coaches and consultants, or even therapists, if you will, right? Anybody who has a certain degree of reputation, certain degree of domain expertise, and they have uh, specific existing trusted clients or customers or audience or communities that they need to serve, is where we are seeing majority of the demand. Why? There is a supply and demand problem. These people are needed much more than they could actually offer. Like imagine one therapist, there are like 100 therapists and they serve 10 million people. It's humanly impossible to be able to keep
Sure.
up. And at the same time, these are um, very mission critical use cases. So meaning in the scenarios where accuracy is mission critical is where personal language models will come. I was asking like how technical we would want to go into is because we all know the AI and the large language model space has penetrated into the market in 2023, which is pretty fascinating and pretty awesome for general purpose or a large domain specific use cases where you can ask a question or brainstorm certain things or write a specific templates, which is fantastic. What we are coming to the market is bringing this core micro small language models that are grounded in 1%, that are far more accurate and far more reliable when the accuracy is important and matters. You cannot make a single mistake.
Yeah, that was my next line of questioning is, I mean, we all know of the term hallucinations and AI going crazy and coming on to their interviewers and all sorts of insanity that's happened over the last 6, 8 months, right? If this thing is now representing me, accuracy is paramount, right?
Mhm.
So if somebody's, I mean, I guess they don't even know they're communicating necessarily with this bot, but if they start asking off the wall questions that are outside of that purview, does it sound human when it's turned? Whoa, let's go back. No, we're not talking about that.
Very good question. Very good question. So, I actually put my AI in the chat, later on when you want to try it out. Um, so it's fascinating, right? So to your point, every individual model has a certain piece of memory, but David only knows so much about the world, right? If you start asking Suman, for example, about biochemistry or anything of that sort, then I wouldn't know about the knowledge. So what we do is pretty much any question or any intent or any conversation that is going into this model, it first consults my personal language model, right? It constructs a response, and that response comes with something called a personal score. The personal score goes from like 0 to 100, and that basically determines how accurate is this particular response as if it is grounded in me. And that is your transparency trust factor that you are exchanging between you and yourself, which is your AI, but also you and other people communicating with your AI. So that's how we are able to, essentially tell. Now, if it goes outside the boundaries, like you asked me about the biochemistry, my AI can consult the beauty of large language models and then tell me what biochemistry is. However, in my personal score, it will be reflected. It's like 15% personal. That means it is person. So if I am communicating with my own self, I can choose to use that general knowledge of biochemistry and personalize it and then add it to my own memory. Because then I formed an opinion about biochemistry. Because it's almost like this learning process, but every learning process goes through your own specific opinions and knowledge and synthesis of who you are as unique individual. Does it make sense? So now those scores, then you can set a control or a threshold. Like let's say if you come to Suman Kanuganti's AI right now in that link that I sent you, uh, I go autopilot mode, which is autonomous mode, and then I have a specific threshold, meaning if it is north of 45%, only then respond to David. Otherwise, don't respond, because anything less than that, it's not accurate.
I just keep thinking of talking to myself. I don't think I would enjoy that at all.
No, no,
I
no, no.
can't.
You wouldn't. No. It's
Insert
mind.
jokes here.
It's almost like this experience that we never had before.
So you have been, so I want to take a turn here for a second because this is fascinating. I want to back up and I want to see, you've been doing this, you said, for 4 years.
Yes.
So 4 years ago, no one knew about ChatGPT and the AI that everyone's super excited about and, gung ho. Because most companies we hear, especially startups and all this, like, oh, I'm going to AI this and AI that, but they're just building on the shoulders of what is coming out every day now. You were way before that. So how did you get involved in this? Where did this idea come from?
Dear, it's fascinating, man. Even for myself, like just being in it, just watching whatever is happening, is fascinating. So I'm an entrepreneur. I built a company called IRA before, AIR, AI for artificial intelligence, RA for remote access. So IRA was for people who are blind and low vision. So what we did was we gave blind people uh, glasses, Google glasses or glasses with a camera, and we connected those people with remote human agents that uses a dashboard, almost gives them a teleportation into blind person's vantage point, right? Now there is a lot of AI that is baked into the dashboard itself, like how do you predict where a blind person would want to go, or what kind of personalized needs that may be needed for the blind person to navigate from point A to point B. Um, and that was quite fascinating journey that unlocked the experiences for blind people to essentially gain the confidence and independence, if you will, for traveling the places around the world by themselves, getting this vastness of going to a Disneyland and experiencing, what it means like a visual person would do, reading children's books for the first time, as a blind mom. Those are the experiences that were pretty compelling. Uh, so that was about vision, right? Like using this core idea of AI with human in the loop for filling the gap of missing visual information for people who are blind. Personal AI was about memory, using this core idea of like using AI plus technology to fill the missing gap of an individual's memory and experiences to be able to capture in a model. It's almost like augmenting yourself with your own memory. Because what we are made up of, what our mind is made up of, memory is made up of, yes, we use it in our day-to-day basis, but we also use it with people around us. The inspiration was my desire to emotionally as well as intellectually connect and have a conversation with a lost co-founder of my previous company. His name is Larry Voigt. He was passed away because of pancreatic cancer. So in 2020, I had this like huge poster in my company that says, "What would Larry do?" Right? It's almost like, walking into the shoes of, in this situation, in this strategic thing, in this terms negotiation, in this business aspect, what would I do? Um, and that's it. I always wish I had like Larry's AI to be able to have this conversation. So in 2020, I embarked on this journey. Okay, you know what? I want to create this, and spent like almost 4 to 6 months, finding my team in Sharon Zhang, who's the CTO of the company. Uh, I got in touch with her after talking to 120 people. That includes people in OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, everybody else. And she told me, Suman, if you are actually wanting to do this principally grounded and scale it for every individual, we cannot rely on back then cutting edge research, which was large language models. So we deliberately took a counter approach, building up from scratch what we call foundational models for individual people. And these are small micro language models. We branded personal language models that is fundamentally based on the memory and identity. So here we are in 2023 happens. Large language model takes off. And then people ask, so how is the difference? What is the difference between like OpenAI and personal AI? Dude, and that's one of the reasons why we are the category creators of personal AI.
Big Pixel builds world-class custom software and amazing apps. Our team of pros puts passion into every one of our projects. Our design-infused development leans heavily on delivering a great experience for our clients and their clients. From startups to enterprises, we can help craft your ideas into real-world products that help your business do better business.
Man, it's like hard to wrap my head around. Like, I think about AI a lot, just my job, and I'm a nerd and all of these things, but I don't think I've ever wandered down this path, like where it becomes me and I am out there. I've thought about it, and I've had other ideas that you would have a personal AI model of yourself to kind of augment yourself. I've heard of that one, right? That no one ever interacts with except yourself. Like it helps you. Oh, I met Gary at this thing, and it kind of a reminder. Oh yeah, and I need to follow up with Gary or whatever. I've heard of that, but it's very private. This is a public version of other. That is, whoa,
It's
it's a
public
lot there.
only if you would choose to, right?
That's fair. Yeah.
Right? It's public only if you choose to. It's shareable only if you choose to specific people. And it is private if you choose to keep it private. But the more important thing is you need control. Like, do you have control on your AI? What your AI is doing? What data is it going into your model? Who my AI is talking to? And do you have visibility on where your AI is saying at what instances?
Yeah,
Right?
that was my next
So I
question.
think,
The control.
yeah. I think those are the control mechanics you would need to have. I'll give you an example, right? It's not always about, David talking to Suman AI and people talking to AIs, right? It's about David talking to Suman, the human, and Suman is augmented by Suman's AI. So Suman is always in the loop. Human is always in the loop. So when David comes to me, if David feels like, oh, dude, I don't want to talk to an AI, in that scenario, my AI would draft a response for me on my behalf. I would choose to edit it and then I would send it, meaning I'm approving the message already. This is no different than, using some of the templates in Gmail, but this is a highly sophisticated version of templatizing your life, based on your own mind.
Are you ready for that, Gary? I mean, that is like,
I'm just waiting so we can like
wow.
mix in the holographs or with this, and then
So holograms. So there are a couple of hologram companies that one of our customers who would want to place their personal AI to hologram. So I think that is probably like 6 months away. It's coming up. Think about it this way. We, at the end of the day, are not going to live forever, right? But we are essentially creating a form or a digital version of a form where, potentially even our future kids can talk to. The idea of your unique experiences creating value is going to be preserved forever if you would choose to, and it can create value forever as well into the future. So 100 years from now, how the history will be told will be totally different. Otherwise, you'll have the same story of, some few people telling a average of the average stories. Who knows it is truthful or factual? That is the reality to the extreme.
Yeah. I mean, I can see it. It's just, this is sci-fi stuff to me. Like, I mean, this is Bicentennial Man, and that's a great movie. But
it's real. It solves like real problems today.
Because I mean, now if you put that, And I'm sure there are limitations to now. I see you recently have come out with a new model, a version 2. You're constantly in that solved issues in model 1, right? So, and I'm sure you know of issues that you want to solve for model 3, right? I mean, obviously it's getting better, but I just think, man, if you put that now in like the uh what is it, Meta specs, their glasses, their Ray-Ban glasses that now it sees what you see and hears what you hear and all of that. But this is the model that's speaking to you. So you could, not only is it seeing what you're seeing, but it's now adding to your model. This is what you did yesterday. I mean, there's just like crazy applications here.
The danger in there is the glasses itself, meaning that is coming from one company, which is
Sure.
Meta, right? So even like right now, if you take like last 10 years or 1 decade of where we authored our data, where we authored our minds, is still very much stuck in individual platforms and big tech, which is Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Netflix, Airbnb, OpenTable. Every platform has a piece of our life,
Sure.
right? And if we continue that path, we will continue to give our pieces of our life to the big tech or the platforms. What we want to do, what I want to do, is to flip that narrative. I want to give that control and power to the people, to you, David, to say, whatever I see that wants to go into my model goes into my model alone. And it has to be interoperable with all the data places, all the data that you likely are producing, and then putting it to specific platforms, because platforms will ultimately serve only one thing, which is their own platforms.
But you're talking about, I mean, that outside of the AI side, there has been a movement, for lack of a better word, about data portability is what you're talking about. I mean, and Google makes all their money and Meta makes all their money on the fact that they own a slice of your life, like you were just saying. They have zero incentive to allow you to pull that out and say, never mind, I don't want you to have that. Or more importantly, you have to come to me in
And
this
they make
data
like
broker.
life miserable and tough to be able
Yep.
to even access your own damn data that you created on the internet, right?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
now imagine a world like, when everybody starts adapting to personal AI because they own their memory and they own their model. This model is working for them, right? So I'm working for you, David. I'm your AI. Here is what happens. Every services, every platform will have their own AI. Meta will have their AIs. Airbnb will have their AI. OpenTable will have their AI. Well, now there is all these individual consumers like, now I need to talk to this AI to get to my reservation. Well, guess what? That negotiation should be happening on your behalf with your AI, with their services AIs. And that's the reason why you need your personal AI. And that's the reason why it's a place to embrace, to take control of your own life and not continue the same path in this next generational shift that is happening within the AI space.
Now, that reminds me of a podcast I heard a while back. They were talking about there's going to be two internets in the future. One is the bots talking to themselves, and then there's going to be the humans hiding in the corner somewhere so that they can still find other humans to speak to. And that's largely what you're talking about, because it's not very far from now that I want to go out to dinner, and I ask an AI, give me some ideas, and here's 5 ideas, and then you tell your AI to go and make some reservations and call and set it up all on my calendar. We're not far from that. I can do that manually right now pretty easily, but I'm still involved. It is one step away until these now all interoperate, and now everyone's just talking to each other. And that is super interesting and scary, because at some point, what are we doing here? Like, what's my role in all of this? I guess just to go on the date, right? But it's just we're I would say 5 years maybe from that. I don't know. As fast as this stuff is moving, it might even be faster than that. But the interoperability, one thing I do know about our world is that being interoperable is not in most people's right? They don't want to be, because they get their money off of not being friendly with other apps. As a program developer, we have to interface between apps all the time, and they have this is our API. These are the 5 things you're allowed to do. I would like to do a 6th thing. No, you can't. Here are the 5 things. No more. And this is not going to probably change that, because Google makes gazillions of dollars because they don't do this. So it's like, man, that'd be a paradigm shift to allow, to say, no, you want my information, you got to come to me to get it, not the other way around. Yeah, that's
So I think, sometimes at least for me, like it's easy to think and easy to give examples from like a physical world standpoint, right?
Mhm.
Because in the digital world, it's like all internet, and it's kind of hard to imagine. But just think about, 20 years ago when initially these mainframes came in. These are like huge, gigantic computers, like, either at an institution or a big corporation. And I remember, standing in the line to gain access, like 30 minutes, that I was holding a floppy disk. Then I go insert and then I type things in, I print it out and then get out. That is only as personal as the information that can fit in your floppy disk. So if I have to expand my personal life, computers, it doesn't really fulfill. I cannot take that mainframe and put in my bedroom until the personal computers came along. This computer that I'm holding right now is in my hands. The files that resides in this hard disk is in my control. And with the AI is going to be the same thing. The large language model right now is serving the larger needs, like, general needs. But we need our own personal AI to have that intelligence that basically is very similar to personal computer, which sits in our home.
so from a business perspective,
Sure.
where are you guys at? Are you on runway? Are you self-sufficient? Are you, we've had some people who's like, I got money and that's how I'm doing it. Where are you guys at?
Well, we are growing. We are shipping AIs to our customers, and our customers are really happy. Uh, we are very much still at a like almost like referral to referral growth pattern,
Mhm.
because it's an early stage of this concept, and it's also uh, involved with a step up function on how it's going to integrate into your daily life, right? And it's a superpower. It's like a superpower that people have probably never seen before. Yeah, you can use ChatGPT and get a task done and get a summary done, but what you're talking on here will, like, 100x what you're talking about, potentially the value that you can create around your world. Largely, we are focusing on certified professionals and licensed professionals, where, as I said, the accuracy is mission critical, where um, the supply and demand is not there, and create like true meaningful impact, because that's where my background is. I don't like just doing for the sake of like doing it and hyping about it, but make like meaningful, real impact, where it matters the most.
So we talk about the slog here a lot, which is that time of a business where you are started, but no one knows who you are. Your job is to yell at the rooftops to get attraction, to get your first customers, to get moving, to get people to care, right? That is a
Mhm.
difficult thing. And sometimes it's months, sometimes it's years long before you get your own gravity, as it were, where people are now coming to you. I
Right.
see your business as even more difficult because you are embarking on a new idea. Like this is you're explaining a helicopter to a shepherd in the 1500s, like
Sure.
to most people. I mean, I'm a pretty technical guy and this is blowing my mind. So I imagine your average CPA that you're trying to sell to, this is a really sci-fi sounding, coming from the aliens kind of discussion that you're having to sell, right? So has that been easy? I mean, has this been an easy sell to people, or is this like, whoa, and you've got to explain it over and over and over again to get people so that they understand it, much less buy it?
Yeah. So it's sci-fi until it solves a real painful point in their daily life, right? So when I hop on the calls, what is the most painful point? I was like, dude, like, I get 1,000 texts a day and I cannot keep up. Piece of cake.
Yeah.
Like, it's not sci-fi anymore. It's like, oh shit, this is like actually drafting responses like me, and 89% of the time is damn accurate. I'm just gonna swipe right and send it.
But how
So
do you get to that point? Do you have like a free trial or something? I'm a CPA and I'm interested in this. I'm coming to your website. Is there a
no,
way? Like,
so
I got
so
to
in
load
terms
it
of
up first, right?
process, there are two modes right now. One
Mhm.
is essentially like self-service, because people are interested in learning and training it themselves. So they had to attend a training session. And then, yes, you are quote unquote certified to train your own AI, right? Because we want people to care about the quality, not just throw junk at it and expect junk out or something out, right? So it's like a very deliberate and intentional thing that we want to do. And because when they do it, they're like, it's like a different life altogether. And then we do also have organizations like literally right now we are talking about all 12 attorneys at a law firm who are specialized in specific different cases that they handle, everybody getting their own AI that will then in turn unlock the 100 analysts inside the organization get a unique perspective from the research and the ideation of each and every lawyer or attorney, right? That's like all of a sudden communication on steroids. um, so that's kind of where we are. And I don't want to be the person to yell out loud on top of the mountain, like you mentioned about, but I just want to solve that one customer problem because that customer will bring us the second one and the third one and the fourth one. And that's what is happening. And we've been building that momentum for the past 5 to 6 months. And gosh, yeah, I have big announcements to make.
And how long have you guys been? You've been around for 4 years, but how long have you had a product?
So first 2 years is all R&D, right? There is a lot
Okay.
of model development and building. If you know OpenAI's journey, OpenAI started around 2013, 2014, and 2019 is technically when they started raising seed money, and 2022 is when they released it. I think about it as we are at the 2019 stages of OpenAI because we had to build that R&D muscle with memory and model for the first 2 years. Third year is all about application development, the platform development, right? And finding who is the right customer and right target. And this year, which is fourth year of our company, is going to the market and scaling. So that's kind of where we are.
Nice. Man, it is fascinating. It is fascinating. Gary, do you have any questions? I want to make sure I give you your nerd time.
No, like the way my brain works is every time you would bring up a different thing that the AI could do or how you would, train or teach the AI from your own stuff, it's just scenarios and scenes from hundreds of movies just kind of play through my head and correlate together how this might be a reality soon. But one of the things that kind of sticks with me, this now seems like it's a very specific market and a very specific target audience that you're looking for, but it might be hard to get something this effective to be way more general use. And the reason I say that is kind of to piggyback what David said is people might think it sounds cool, looks cool, and could be cool, but they're probably not going to take the time to understand and learn how to develop it so that it's going to be of help to them. So while you're acquiring these new customers and this referral engine, do you have a lot of like just training sessions and hands-on kind of guidance, teaching them specifically how they need to craft their own personal ones and then how they have to teach someone else? Or like, I'm just wondering when you're saying scaling, you're scaling in customers, but how do you scale it so that the adaptation is more easily adaptable? Or I should say it's more easily understandable for, like you said, 100 lawyers in a law firm. There might only be 20 that are interested in actually, feeding these AI models. The others
And that's
might be like, nah.
Yeah, that's one use case, right? Well, I disagree because here is what's going to happen. Right now, it's at the beginnings of adapting AI as the new media, right? Traditionally, like when the .com happened, there is always those early adapters. There was this concept of, oh, you know what? Now as a business, we need to have this website. Like, what is a website? I don't need a website. Website sounds complicated. Internet, HTML coding. Okay, hang on. Like I need a developer now, right now. I don't need a website. I don't. Well, fast forward 10 years later, every business, individual or otherwise, has a website. The
Yeah,
AI
but
thing happened right
to
now.
that point, they have a website that they just paid $10 for from some person like on
Not
Canva
10
to make it in Wix or Squarespace. Like they're not
Now-
really feeding those
No,
websites.
okay.
so
So
much.
here's a very, very good point. So now that's where I was heading to. So that is a good point. They agree, which is a Squarespace, right? Squarespace, they develop the tools over a period of time to make it easier. That is like $10 and $20 to get their website. But before that, people had to invest time and money to understand how to build the website. So that's where like personal AI is. But over time, when you have like one click button and when you start running these models on your phones, then it will become more general mass adapted market, right? Like Squarespace. So I think the tooling has to develop, the clarity has to develop, the use cases has to develop, and we had to basically make the market from niche markets to broader markets to mass markets. So
Right.
it's a journey.
Yeah. Okay. So in the future, that is where you see this going to, where
Correct.
it's just
We
going to
see it.
be like almost like a personal assistant style or feel in your life, but then it's going to actually be far more
Correct.
productive than just a person. Okay.
Correct. Our tagline is like 8 billion people, 8 billion AIs, right? So that's how I perceive the world.
In the 4 years your company's been around, I'm sure you've learned a few lessons, and we like to kind of wrap up these interviews with one question. What would your top 3 pieces of advice be for any new entrepreneur, startup, or new business owner?
In general or any specific AI, just generally?
That is up to you. You can take it anywhere you want. The reason why I prefaced it by the 4 years of this business is because this is an extremely interesting. So I'm kind of wondering
Yeah.
if maybe these 3 pieces of advice that you've learned from this business could translate into other businesses.
I think the first one I would say is conviction. In other words, you're onto a path, you have a mission, right? Things happen out there in the world. Distractions exist. There will be challenges. People won't believe you. Some people will believe you. Things will work, things will won't work. But are you convicted on your path and the mission? And do you have the people that share your conviction? So I think one of the first pieces of like, I guess, advice would be find your mission that you are convicted to with the team and with the people who are going to stay with you for 4 years of time. You know what I mean? Like it takes a
Yeah.
long time for some things to come together. So yeah, so first one is conviction. The second one is just generally grounded, right? What does grounded mean? It's hard. There's going to be ups and there's going to be downs. There's going to be success. There's going to be, moment of death, right? Uh, so I think like staying grounded to those variations and thinking through practically what is the next step and creating the filter for yourself, I think is super important. Um, especially personally myself, we went through a lot of, ups and downs. Yes, of course, like I come on the podcast right now, I confidently speak what it's going to be, but it comes with a lots and lots of hard work and staying grounded to when you have like huge success and at the same time, maintaining that calm posture, thoughtfulness when things are going down south. So I think kind of tied back to the conviction, but I think grounded kind of is more about how you behave, how you act, and what kind of mid decisions that you make. What else? I mean, other piece of advice, specifically in terms of AI, I think build AI with certain principles in mind that is more meaningful and impactful for the next generation um, You know what I mean? Meaning, if you just simply apply, like one example, if you simply apply like subscription based business models of Internet 2.0 to AI models in Internet 3.0, I don't think it will work. You have to come up with, uh, what is the problem you're solving for? How how does it add specific moat for yourself? Is it data? Is it models? Is it the space? And then build it accordingly, and have less and less reliance on one single platform or one single model to build your core business because somebody else will come in and then just wipe it out, right? So build something of moat, and I think it's important to spend time to build that moat in advance.
Those are good pieces of advice. I especially like conviction. That was a good one. We have not really heard that one too often before, maybe in different ways. But yeah, in the beginning of our interview here, you also mentioned how I guess the picture of your old boss was kind of a memory for you or a motivation and inspiration for you. So I guess the conviction of knowing that you wanted to see that through seems to have come through. So very cool. Now, if anybody wants to learn more about personal AI, other than just the website, how can they reach out or get in touch with you?
Simply the letter s.personal.ai, and you'll see all my social channels as well as a mechanism to message me, chat with me, as well as experience my AI. But yes, I'll be still in the loop.
All right. We'll put all the links in the show notes too, including, if it's okay with you, the link that you shared with us for your personal AI. Is that all right?
Yes. Yeah, that's s.personal.ai that I
Okay,
just
cool.
mentioned. That's my identity now.
Is this your AI now, or have we been duped this
If
entire
his video
interview?
is this good, if his video
I'm
is this
signing
good, dude, he's
on.
got a whole different thing. Yeah, man. Sign me up.
Hi, I'm Christy Pronto, Content Marketing Director here at Big Pixel. Thank you for listening to this episode of the BizDev Podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Shoot us an email, hello@thebigpixel.net. The BizDev Podcast is produced and presented by Big Pixel. See you next week. Until then, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Threads, YouTube, and LinkedIn.